Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So, we are doing Drg Drashya Viveka, and in that we have come up to verse 19. In the last few verses, author has been talking to us about Maya and its power. The power of Maya is indeed magical. It has mind-boggling power. The author showed us that it is this power of Maya, twofold power of Maya, which not only conceals Brahman, but makes it appear differently from what it is. In Vivek Chudamani, Shankaracharya ji, Bhashyakar, says that Mahadbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa. He says about Maya that this power of Maya is Mahadbhuta, means it is really mind-boggling and amazing power. And why? Because it makes Brahman appear differently from what it is. So, as we have already discussed in the past few verses, let us quickly revise that it has twofold powers, which are the Avrutti and Vikshepa. What do they do? How do they function? So, first, the Avrutti power conceals Brahman from us, which means it conceals the real nature of Brahman. And then, having done that, the Vikshepa power creates, projects. Creates means always in Vedanta it projects. Don't think that they work in stages. No, it happens simultaneously. No sooner the veiling has taken place that the Vikshepa projects. So, let me give you the example of our standard example of rope and snake. In reality, what is there is rope. But at the twilight time or early morning, when it is not fully lighted, sun is not yet arisen, and so what happens? We tend not to see the rope clearly. So when the rope is not seen clearly, that is called the veiling power, that is called Avrutti. And then immediately when the rope is not seen clearly, you tend to take it as snake, tend to take it in the sense that it is taken differently from what it really is. So in reality, what is rope is taken as snake. One example. I will give you another example of the dream world, because that is more pertinent here. See, when the person is sleeping, he is sleeping, which means there is nidra, the sleep is there. He is under the power of sleep, let us say. Sleep has overtaken this person. So, because of that, then what happens? He doesn't know anything. Since in sleep, he doesn't know anything, what happens? His real nature gets concealed. That he is lying on his bed and he is what he is in his room. He has not gone anywhere. That part is concealed. And what happens? The dream world gets created. His reality is concealed as the one who is sleeping on the bed because of nidra, because of sleep. So in this example, we can look upon sleep as avruti. And then immediately, the dream world gets projected. The dream world gets projected. So dream world which gets projected is due to the vikshepa. So first the nidra conceals his true nature, and then that projecting power projects the dream world. Moment the dream world is projected, what happens? In that dream world, there are many people. There is sky, there is air, fire, water, earth, mountains, a whole city is there. There are so many individuals living in that city. And there is this one person who is interacting with his family members and the rest of the creation. So understand, in this dream world also, this dream world also is segmented into two. Which two? There is an individual and there is rest of the dream world. There is an individual who interacts with the rest of the dream part which is created. So understand, in one dream world, there is one individual and he interacts and transacts with the world, dream world. Similarly, so both the powers have come into function. Which two powers? Avrutti and vikshepa. Concealing power of Maya, concealed is reality, and then immediately the dream world is projected. And in that dream world again, as if there is this one person different from the other person, this person, all these individuals are different. Everybody is different from everyone. So even though it is one creation, one dream world, but there are many things in that. There is plurality in that. And everybody is interacting with each other. Everybody takes themselves to be different from others. So we can say that there is this division of I and you in one dream world. Okay? Similarly, now let us look at Brahman and creation and Brahman and individual. So, I am talking about what the author has been doing in the past few verses. Beginning from, let me be precise, verse number 13. From verse number 13 onwards, author is very beautifully unfolding before us what Maya does. What Maya does with its twofold powers. Which are these twofold powers? Veiling and projecting. That is, avrutti means veiling and vikshepa means projection, projecting power. So, what happens? Brahman, which is one without a second, formless, of the nature of happiness. This is the reality of Brahman. This part is veiled, and the creation is projected. Now, in this creation, again, just as in the dream world we saw that there are many. There is one individual, there are many individuals and they are interacting with each other. And each of them takes themselves to be different from others. So in short, we can say that there is I and the rest of the creation in the dream world. Similarly here, Brahman is concealed and the creation is projected. Okay? Brahman as it is concealed, and creation full of names and forms is projected. Okay. In this creation too, what the projecting power has done is, it has segmented, fragmented this Brahman into I and you. So there is this one body in this creation. So what happens now? What the power of Maya does is, it makes me think that I am one individual, one entity which is different from the rest of the world. So keeping this body as a reference point, I think that whatever is inside the boundary of the body is I, and whatever is outside the boundary of this body is you. It is creation. So there is, in this one, even though everything is projected, still this division is created, I and the rest of the creation. Okay. Now what happens is, what the veiling power does inside. Now let us talk about what the veiling power does at both the levels. What it does here with reference to this individual package, and what it conceals in the creation. Let us take both of this one by one, because that is what has been discussed from verse number 13 to 19. So what has projected? So author told us in this verse number 15 that what does this avritti, concealing power, does? It makes me look, it makes me take this individual as I and the rest of the things as you. Okay. And here too, in this body which I call I, this person which I call I, here in reality there are two. Which two? Which two? Here there is consciousness, that is Sakshi, and there is this body. Body is there. In the body, in the complex called body, there is mind, intellect, vital air, sense organs of action and sense organs of perception. All of them are there. And there is this consciousness. But, so there are two, consciousness plus this body, mind, intellect assembly. But what does the concealing power of Maya does? What does it do? It conceals that, it conceals my true nature. That I am Sakshi is concealed. And what does it do? It makes me take this body as I. So where there are two are taken as one. Understand? This is what Maya has done with its twofold powers. Because of the concealing power, my reality is concealed, that I am witness, I forget. Or it just doesn't occur to me that I am formless, that I am of the nature of happiness. All that is forgotten. I am ignorant. Then it makes me take this body as I. Consciousness or witness takes itself to be woman, takes itself to be man, related to this one, related to that one, Indian, American, etc. So many things. So much of superimposition takes place upon that which is in reality consciousness. So here where there are two, one is witness, consciousness, and the other one is this body, mind, intellect, all of that, the whole assembly. So where there are two, Maya makes me take them as one. The avarana part, the avrutti, the concealing power of Maya, makes me take them as one. Understood? Then, and this becomes the cause of samsara. Now, I look upon myself as woman, helpless. So many things then will follow. Even if I take myself to be a man, supposing somebody takes, if the body is of man and he takes himself to be man, then he will think that the entire responsibility is upon me. I have to run the family, etc. So many things. He has his own problems, women have their own problems, but problems are there. Why? Because consciousness takes itself to be this. So, where there is really distinction, where in reality distinction obtains between the seer and the seen. Seer is witness and the seen is this body. So there is always a difference, distinction between the subject and the object, the seer and the seen. But concealing power of Maya doesn't make me see that, doesn't allow me, doesn't permit me to see that, and makes me take this body as I. So this mistake has occurred then. That is, avarana power has done. So now what happens? When you go to teacher, when you approach the scriptures and you come to know that no, tattvam asi, you are not this body, you are consciousness, you are Brahman. Just as Lord Krishna told Arjuna, who is grieving because he takes himself to be Arjuna. He takes himself to be Arjuna and he thinks that I have to fight with my cousins. I have to fight with my teacher. I have to fight with my grandsire. And I am related to them. I am Arjuna and they are mine. So what happened? I and mine. Why? Because he took himself to be Arjuna. Consciousness took itself to be Arjuna. That is why Lord Krishna had to teach him the entire Gita. To remove his avrutti, to remove this concealing power of Maya. And Arjuna was taught, you are not Arjuna, you are not this body, you are not the mind, you are not the intellect, you are not the sense organs of perception or action. You are pure witness, pure consciousness, which is beyond birth and death, which is not subject to coming and going, which is avinashi, indestructible, which is all pervasive, which is one. All this had to be taught to Arjuna because he took this to be I. So in reality, where there are two, avrutti, that is concealing power, makes me take as one. So when teacher comes, by the grace of Ishvara, when you get a chance to learn the scriptures, then scriptures means Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita. When you get a chance to know this truth, then the avrutti goes. That avrutti has to go. Until that, confusion will remain. Ignorance has to go. Avarana means ignorance. Avrutti means ignorance, which means concealing power of Maya, which conceals my true nature. That has to go. And that can go only by knowledge. Knowledge of the scriptures, knowledge of Vedanta, knowledge of your true nature. Not without that. Avrutti will not go on its own just like that. It will just evaporate one day. No, it won't happen. Just because you sit in meditation, it won't happen. There is no magic. It has to go by the words of the teacher. Or somehow, if not the words of the teacher, when you read something, when you read Upanishad, when you read Gita, but all these texts are such, that you cannot come to know their purport just by reading. They are not novels. They are not pocket books. They have to be learned from the one who knows it thoroughly. From the one who knows it thoroughly. And that person is called Shrotriya Brahmanishta, one who has learnt the Vedas properly and one who abides in the purport of the Upanishads, one who abides in that reality. In short, only by knowledge will that concealing power of Maya can be destroyed, which means ignorance has to go by knowledge. Just as darkness goes away when light comes, night goes when day arrives. Similarly, this ignorance of my true nature, that I am consciousness, which I am today ignorant of, goes when the teacher comes and tells me, or from the Upanishads, somehow the message is to go home, that I am not this body. Mano, buddhi, ahankara, chittani na aham. That is why Upanishads talks in the language of neti. Neti means na iti. Manushya na. I am not manushyaham. I am not this human being. I am consciousness. Satchidananda Rupa. In short, when the avruti gets destroyed, then you come to know that, oh my God, here where there are two, the body and consciousness, I took it as one. And now, having known this, I now very well know that yes, that which I call I, in reality belongs to consciousness. So, I means consciousness. I means witness, and I doesn't mean this body. So, now where there are two are seen as two. Understood? Where there are two are seen as two. Ignorance made me take two as one. Now there is clarity. Now you see things as they are. What is consciousness? Yes. And what is body? The body is fine, but I am not that. Okay? This is what happens when avruti gets destroyed. Then, this what we talked about just now belonged to Drg Drashya Yoho, means when I took the body as I, then we talked about the difference that obtains between the I and the body. So, inside the body, which I took as I, now I see as two. Now, we go outside the boundary of the body. So far, I looked upon this body as I, and rest of the creation as you. So, now there also, the power of Maya is working. What has it concealed? So, that is unfolded in verse number 18. See, I am reading that. We have done that already, but I am just reading it again to recap it. Tatha sarga brahmanoscha ved tatha sarga brahmanoscha vedamavritya tishtati ya shakti tadvashat brahma vikrutatvena bhasate. What happens? Even there, that which I called I, that means in the body, where there were two, I took as one. And now having ignorance having gone, ignorance being destroyed by knowledge, now I see the two as two. Similarly, what I call out, Tatha sarga brahmanoscha vedam avrutya tishtati ya shakti. So far, the concealing power of Maya veiled the difference between creation and Brahman. See, I am looking at the creation, where in reality there are two. Creation is there, names and forms are there, and consciousness is also there. Just as in the dream world is there. When I am looking at the dream world, what is there in reality? The dreamer who is sleeping on the bed is the reality. And even when you are seeing the dream world, what is the reality? The dream world is only an appearance. The reality is the dreamer who is sleeping on his bed. Understood? That dreamer who is sleeping, upon that this dream world is projected. So, dreamer is the reality and the projection is the dream world. Understood? Now, when you wake up from the dream, when you really wake up, then you come to know that this dream world is not there. It is not there. What is there? There is nothing but the person who was sleeping is now awake. But this you came to know only when you woke up. When you woke up, you came to know that this thing is not there. Dream world is not there. In the dream world, there was I, there was you. In the dream world also there was one person, and he looked upon the rest of the creation as you, as the creation, and himself as I. Both of this are now gone when he woke up from the sleep. And remember, listen carefully. When he woke up from the sleep, similarly, here also, what happens due to this veiling power of Maya? What is concealed? Brahman is concealed, consciousness is concealed, and creation is projected. Okay? Creation is projected. So, when you are seeing the creation, interacting with the creation, what is the reality? Brahman is the reality. But that is very well concealed. You take this as real. Creation is taken as real. And this Brahman, which is formless, which is attributeless, how does it appear? How does it appear? Vikrutatvena bhasate. It appears as changing. It appears as many, plus it appears as constantly changing. Tell me, what is steady in this creation? Is anything steady in the creation? Sun rises, so far it was dark. Then suddenly sun is coming up, then coming up more and more. First it was at the horizon, and then it came up little, it came up to this, then slowly went down again. In short, every moment there is a change in the creation. There is constantly a change taking place in the creation. Now, is the change taking place in Brahman? No. Change is taking place in the creation. But here the point is that what did the concealing power do? What did the concealing power of Maya do? It concealed Brahman and projected creation upon it. And then what did it do? It made me totally oblivious of Brahman, this reality, and made me take this creation as real. For me, only this creation is real. In this creation, whatever is there, that alone is real. Okay, this is what has happened. Now, here too, when the knowledge occurs, See, here too means no, there are no two stages of knowledge, but at this level also, the avrutti has to go. Just as here, I took, as far as the body was concerned, I took the body as I. With the dawn of knowledge, what happened? I came to know that I am not the body, but I am consciousness. So body, so far due to ignorance, body, this means the whole assembly, body, mind, intellect, complex, and consciousness were lumped together. Two had become one. With knowledge, what happened? I now come to know that my reality is consciousness and body is object of my knowledge. Mind is object of my knowledge. The judgments in the intellect are objects of my knowledge. And whatever is object of my knowledge is different from me. Just as I came to know that inside, similarly, now I come, when I look at the creation, I come to know what? With knowledge that I am conscious, that this creation is not the reality. That is what is unfolded in verse number 19. Let me read it. Let me read verse number 19 and then I will explain it to you. Atrapyavrutinashena vibhati brahma sargayoh भेदस्तयोर् विकारं स्यात् सर्गेन ब्रह्मणि क्वचित्. See, it says अत्रापि आवृत्ति नाशेन विभाति ब्रह्म सर्गयोः भेदः. There was always a difference between Brahman and creation. Creation is not Brahman and Brahman is not creation. Brahman is formless, consciousness, substratum, adhisthana, and creation is adhyaropa. So these were two different realities. Two different realities. One is a one kind of reality. Brahman enjoys one kind of reality. Creation enjoys different kind of reality. Understood? But not knowing this, due thanks to the veiling power of Maya, I did not know this. So far ignorance was there. What happened? I took these two realities as one. But when I sit at the feet of the teacher and learn the Upanishads, learn the Vedas, that is Vedanta, then they make me see that what? That the Brahma Sargayoho Bhedaha Asti. Between Brahma and Sarga there is Bheda. Sarga means creation and Brahma means consciousness, the absolute reality. They are different. Creation is like dream world and Brahman is the reality. Upon Brahman, or Brahman is taken to be creation, just as rope is taken to be snake. Rope is one reality, one kind of reality, and snake is another kind of reality. What is the reality that snake has? It is projection. It is mithya. Snake is mithya, an appearance, whereas rope is the reality. In that example, going back to the example of dream world. Dream world is appearance. It has different kind of reality. What kind of reality does it have? Just an appearance, just a projection. And the one who is sleeping, the dreamer, is real in that example. Similarly here, when I sit at the feet of the teacher, when I learn the Vedanta scriptures, then we come to know that atrapi avruti nashena, then the concealment goes. The reality which was veiled so far is no more there. Nashena. It disappears because of the words of the teacher enables me to see the reality. See means not perceive, see here. Seeing is here. Just as Shiva, Lord Shiva has third eye. That third eye signifies knowledge. When the third eye opens, that Kamadeva cannot remain. Similarly, with the third eye opening here, what happens? Creation is seen to be an appearance. It is not real. So far I took it to be real. Now I know that what I took as creation is really Brahman. Creation is different and Brahman is real. And Vikaram Syat Sarge Na Brahmani Kvachita. There were so many vikaras, changes taking place in the creation. But all of those changes were occurring in creation, not in Brahman. Brahmani na kvachita. Author emphatically says that there are no changes ever taking place in Brahman. It is unchanging absolute reality, ever the same, ever the same. And in creation there is nothing same. Each day, with every moment passing, each day is changing, month is changing, years are changing, just past things are passing, changing, ephemeral, temporary. Now it is like this, then it is different, then again it is different. Today what I call is bud, tomorrow I call it as flower, third day it withers and then I touch it and it breaks, then it becomes powder. So what was bud one day became flower another day, third day became powder, and fourth day it is with mud. It goes in the soil, becomes soil. Then it becomes water, then slowly, every day the form is changing. Do you mean to say Brahman is also like that? No. It is ever the same. When we are seeing the dream world, when we take the dream world, I am constantly going back to that example so that we can compare. This creation is is similar to dream only. Not dream, but similar to that. There is a change only in degree, not in its Svarupa. So I am going back every time to referring back to the dream example so that we can understand this better. Just as in the dream world, everything is changing, constant, it is in the state of flux. I was just born and then became big and suddenly everything then died also, next generation came, then next generation also came. And I dream of my grandfather, which I have never heard of, never seen him. Still we dream of him in just few seconds. They say that the dream world lasts for a few seconds. And in that few seconds, the effect that is created is of 3-4 generations. It's mind-boggling. There my mind creates all that. And here Maya creates this world. But it effectively conceals the reality. So what I am trying to say is that even when I see the changes taking place in the dream world, everything is changing. There, at that very time, the dreamer is the same. He went to sleep and he wakes up the same person. So here, what it means here is this, that Vikaram Syat Sarge, the changes are in the creation, na Brahmani Kvachita, not in Brahman. So reality remains the same. So far we had done, this was very important. So I thought, let me clarify it and make it more and more simpler and make it more and more easier. Having said this, that how the two powers of Maya works, how it effectively conceals and projects. But moment the avarana goes, we can see the reality. See means we understand it here. And now what happens? Now when we look at the creation, when we see the creation, now we have to appreciate Brahman also. See, understand, even when we are when we are interacting with this creation, talking, walking, functioning, how to know Brahman? Here there are two. Which two? Creation and Brahman. Adhyaropa and Adhisthana. How to find out, how to distinguish between Adhyaropa and Adhisthana? Wherever there is Adhyaropa, Adhisthana is bound to be there. Adhisthana means the substratum and Adhyaropa means that which is projected. So whenever you see the projection, understand that the reality or the Adhisthana or the substratum is bound to be there. For example, when you see the snake, which is a projection, the reality rope is right there. Similarly, when you are seeing this creation, what is right there? Through and through the creation, what is there? Brahman. How to know that? How to identify? How to find out what is Brahman here? Which part is Brahman and which part is creation? How to find out? Author gives us an excellent way, excellent method to be able to know what is Brahman and what is creation, so that we do not make any mistakes. Listen this very carefully, pay attention. He gives us a key or a handle by which we can understand what is Brahman and what is creation. Even when we are seeing the creation, he gives us a key, he gives us a handle by which we can come to know this part is Brahman part and this part is creation part, so that I am not trapped. Because we tend to get trapped. We are oblivious of the Brahman, of the reality, and we get engrossed in creation, which is mithya. So, the success of life would be, or that which we call knowledge would be, to be able to distinguish between what is Satyam and what is Mithya, what is Brahman and what is creation. Creation is Mithya, Brahman is Satyam. But how do I know? How do I know? So author says in the verse number 20 that these three parts belong to Brahman and these two parts belong to creation. In each and every object of the creation, you will find the Brahman part and you will find the creation part. So this two comes together. As I said, where there is mithya, the satyam is. Not necessarily that where there is satyam, mithya is to be there, no. But wherever there is mithya, satyam is there. It is not the other way around. You cannot say that wherever there is satyam, mithya is to be there, no. But Why we are saying this is because we do not see or perceive Satyam as it is. What we perceive is creation. We do not perceive Brahman. Brahman, or the reality, absolute reality or consciousness, is not an object of my perception ever. But still, and what we perceive is creation. Author is saying, even when you are perceiving the creation, I will show you how to know Brahman, even though it is not perceived. Understood? So, this is what verse number 20 is going to show us. Let us read that. Asti bhati priyam rupam nama chetyamsha panchakam adhyatrayam brahma rupam jagadrupam tatodvayam. This is a very, very famous verse. And if you understand this, you have known everything. Which means you will be able to appreciate Brahman even though you don't see it. You will appreciate, you will understand, you will have the grasp of it. And at the same time, you will be seeing the creation. But you will distinguish, yes, this is creation, this is I. And now, the distinction, now there are no two segments, that I and creation. No, in the beginning, from this also must become very clear from the discussion so far, that this body which I called I so far, where does it belong? Where does it belong? It is now with the creation. Just as this is an object, similarly this body is equally an object. Just as this pen is not I, similarly this hand is also not I. This body is also not I. Now this is clear. So, beginning from this body, and in the body also, beginning from subtle body to the gross body and the creation, everything now is classified as creation. Understood? So far what we did was, in this creation, I took this body as I and the rest of the creation as creation. But now we are better off with knowledge, avrutti having gone. Now what do we know? That this body is also not substantially different from this pen, in as much as this is an object of my knowledge, not I. This pen is not I, it is you, it is that. Similarly, this body, the mind here, the intellect here, the vital air here, the indriyas over here, all of them are like this pen. Understood? So now, even the subtle body, because subtle body we have already seen, subtle body is also jadam. Gross body is also jadam. Pen is also jadam, inert. Subtle body is equally inert like this pen. Gross body is equally inert like this pen. And everything that is inert is part of the creation. I will give you another handle. Everything that is name and form is part of the creation. So now, in that, when I say creation, the body also gets included in that. Okay? So now, let us see this verse. We will today translate and then explain it next time, because we have run out of time. So it said, Asti bhati priyam rupam nama cha iti amsha panchakam. Now see, the author says that whenever you take any object of the creation, any object for that matter, any object, let us take this pen. Any object has 5 aspects. Any object of this creation has 5 aspects. Which are they? One is asti, which means it exists. Another one, it is asti means it exists. 1. 2. Bhati. Bhati means shines. It shines. This object is asti. Bhati means it shines. Third one, priyam. Priyam means it is pleasing. It is useful. Third aspect. We will look into it in detail. Then fourth aspect, rupam, it has form, and fifth one, nama, it has name. Iti amsha panchakam. Any object, take any object of this creation, even the minutest of the object, say a germ, say a bacteria, say an atom, that also it shines, it is useful. We will see how it is useful. Useful and pleasing goes together. That you may not understand now, but I will explain. Third one, and then it has form. Maybe the form is such that you cannot see with the bare eyes, but it still, with the microscope, when you see, it has a form and it has a name. The bacteria also has some name. The doctors and the pathologists, they know. So any object, big, however big it may be or however small it may be, it has these 5 aspects. Which 5 aspects? First, it exists. Second, it shines, bhati. Third, priyam, which means it is pleasing and useful. Priyam and useful goes together. Then fourth one, it has a form, rupam, and fifth one, it has a name. Now, out of this 5, as I said, there is Brahman in this 5 and there is creation also in this 5. From this 5, the first 3 belongs to Brahman and the rest 2 belongs to the creation. Understood? That is what is said in the next line. Adhyatrayam Brahma Rupam. Adhyatrayam means first 3 are the Rupa of Brahman. Which 3? Asti, that the pen is, the pen shines, and the pen is priyam. These 3 parts, these 3 amshas, you don't see it really, but had this pen not existed, it would not be, and had it not shined, you would not know it, and it is useful, and that is why I like it, pleasing. These 3 parts are the form of what? Are the Rupa of Brahman, which means these 3 are actually the characteristic of Brahman, Swarupa of Brahman. So here Brahman is in which form? You don't see Brahman, but you appreciate Brahman in which way? Yes, this pen is, it shines. That it shines is because of Brahman. That it is because of Brahman. That it is useful. That usefulness is imparted to this object called pen by Brahman. And that it has Rupa, this particular Rupa and particular name. That 2 part belongs to creation. First 3, Adhyatrayam Brahma Rupam. First 3 belongs to Brahman. Jagad Rupam Tatodvayam. And the other 2, Rupa and Nama, belongs to Jagat. So in this there are both. Jagat is also there and Brahman is also there. Which part belongs to Brahman? Asti, Bhati, Priyam. That much is Brahman. And which is Jagat? Rupa, Nama. Take another object. Say this clip. This clip is, it shines, it is useful. It is useful to hold the book, pages. So I like it, lovable it is, pleasing it is. And then it has this form and it has this lemon color. And it has the name called clip. or book holder. So 5 aspects are there. Of the 5 aspects, first 3 belongs to Brahman and the rest of the 2 belongs to creation. And let me add one more point. First 3 is Satyam, Brahman is Satyam, the rest 2, Rupa, Nama, are creation and they are Mithya. So Satya and Mithya are always together. Wherever there is form and name, there Brahman is. Asti Bhati Priyam. That means in each and every form and name which is Mithya, the consciousness or Brahman is hidden there. Brahman, which is formless, attributeless, comes in the guise of name and form. Understood? Now take any object, take a book, take a dish, take a glass, take anything for that matter. It has a name and form, plus it shines and it is useful. That 3 part is Brahman, which you don't see. But without that, name and form cannot survive. Name and form called this form and this name called clip cannot survive. This Jagat part cannot survive without the Brahman part. You follow? So this entire creation which has name and form has as its basis what? Asti Bhati Priyam. And that is Swarupa of Brahman, which you don't see with your eyes. But that this object is cannot be without that Brahman. Understood? So, as the substratum of the creation, Brahman is always there. We will elaborate upon this verse next time. This is very, very important. Even when once you come to know this, you will be master. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you may be in the midst of any objects, but still you will know what is the truth and what is mithya, what is apparent, what is the reality. So, apparent cannot be without the reality, mithya cannot be without satyam, but satya can be without mithya. This we will look into in our next class. Thank you. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanta Shanta Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanta Shanta Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.